Oh, and quick, before I bury the lead here, yes, we are going to be using the band state chronograph to determine whether or not the items we're testing today are still working. And yes, this thing has been shot more than Tupac. Oakley dokley, tactical aficionados. I am Damien Darko, and you are watching Band State Tactical, where it's not illegal if you don't get caught. So by now, I'm sure a lot of you have seen the absolutely abysmal HDR-50 review. Oh my god. The reviewer, not one, but two dose HDR-50s went down during the course of our testing, seemingly due to blockages, I believe, from the projectile now, the 50 caliber. And I believe the main cause of that was because they were becoming lodged, stuck in these cylindrical magazines here. Because unlike the HDR-68, in which it clearly had a certain degree of play in it, the HDR-50s were extremely, and I mean extremely tight. These things were like, well, I'm not going to make the joke because I don't want to get demonetized, but you get the point. I mean, I'm having to actually kind of do some workarounds with the larger steel ball bearings in order to kind of loosen these up so that they don't cause the malfunctions which we saw during that main review, which now has led, unfortunately, to other malfunctions probably within the, other malfunctions probably within the valves. Now let me give you a quick demonstration here of a valve I have laying around. This is actually from the TR-68. This thing eventually went down and we were not able to fix it anymore. Where is it? So this was the valve that was inside the HDR-68, almost identical to the kinds in here. They might be swappable, they might not, I'm not entirely sure. And the issue that happened here is when we were firing during one of our black powder reviews, and this little guy came flying out of the barrel and lodged itself into one of our targets, and we had no idea what was going on.
So, hit it hard?
Yep, hit it hard. Oh, harder than that, until that little red thing pops out. Get it! Oh, there it goes, yeah.
I got it!
Oh, it released the entire canister at once!
And I did actually aim for that.
Yeah, you hit him right where you... Oh, look at this! You know what this is here? It's a gas seal.
Oh!
It's a gas seal from inside that gun, which shot into the target and lodged in the zombie's head. So this thing has come loose from the Band State Custom, one of the many problems we must be having. Well, at least we found that. I know that a gas seal blew out of the damn thing. So what had happened is that this little guy right here is actually seated inside this valve here. Well, this is like the main valve back here. This is where you would take the one of the restrictors out of. This is, of course, where there is sometimes another restrictor placed. But this tiny little O-ring, I'm sure if I accidentally called it valve, this O-ring was inside here. It's got its own little pocket kind of grooved out, and I don't believe it was ever intended to be taken out. I'm not even sure if it's designed to be replaced, even though people tinker with these all the time. And what happens is that the bolt will kind of rest in there, sealing your air pressure, and then when you actuate the trigger, it will come out just a little bit for a fraction of a second, and boom, you get a burst of power coming through. They'll hit your projectiles, send them down the barrel, all that good stuff. But when this guy here becomes dry, is unlubricated, or becomes dislodged from its internal housing, it can then cause the entire system to just blow out. There's nothing there. This is no longer causing a tight seal in here that will keep that CO2 power, or air power if you're running that, from just exiting the valve all at once. And we even saw with these two here, particularly with this one, towards the end of the review when it started firing in full auto, as I commented, watch out, Yusuf, the ATF is coming here to, end your dogs if they see that. Oh, full auto.
Go! Get to the chopper!
God damn you!
I didn't know it was a machine gun.
Ah, it's up again. Both of these. What was really happening is that there was an issue probably with this little O-ring and with the bolt in there. Anyway, so after having opened up both those markers, the black and orange, lubricating that valve area, or the O-ring, excuse me, making sure that the bolt was able to kind of get in and out of there, they seem at least from the outside, to be working fine, but I haven't had a chance to actually test them yet. I'm going to be testing them over the band state chronograph, as aforementioned. And after that, I'm going to be showing you the fix I used to loosen up those magazines, because unfortunately all these issues, or most of these issues, not the underpowered weak performance that we saw, but the actual malfunctions that almost ground that review to a halt, all that is really being caused by those magazines being way, way too tight around the kinds of projectiles we were using. So let's get to the chronograph and find out if these things are salvageable, if I'm going to be able to even modify them in the future or not. I've removed all the valves that are in them, or the valve blocks, excuse me, so we should be operating at maximum potential power without further add-ons, extra barrels, all that kind of stuff. Let's get to the chronograph. All right, we're going to be testing the orange marker first. Got 5 of the 50 caliber aluminum balls loaded up in here. Our chronograph seems to be functioning. Let's find out. I'm not going to be shooting from a very far distance, but, well, I really don't have much of a choice. I'm going to put the camera close enough to see if we can get those numbers. Woo! Okay. $375. All right, they're moving faster. This thing must have had another valve taken out of it. $357. I think that was 3. That one didn't read. That one did not read. Let's see. Do we have another shot in here? We do not, but all right. No malfunctions. And it seemed to be hitting a wee bit harder. So, quick side note, tactical aficionados, when I was taking this thing out and about to remove the valve the valve block that was up here, as I opened it, something fell out and I didn't get a good look at it. So I actually don't know how big that valve block was. Now there is certainly none, and it definitely hit harder. We were chronographing this thing, moving the aluminum balls. I think at the beginning of the review, the highest was like 290. Now we were getting into the 350s. Take a look at the pillow I set up as a backstop here. Yes, it has a hole in it. Yes, it has penetrated into that. It's actually done something. Wow, these things might not be binky bears if we can get them up and running properly. Oh, another side note. So this guy here, the one that I had to replace the orange marker with when it ended up going down. So I removed a pretty substantial valve block that was in here. I couldn't see what was in the orange one, but this one, even though it didn't have one down here, had a large valve block in this section, and that has been removed. So let's see if it does something similar to what the orange one just did. Whoa! Full auto! Oh, full auto again! Oh yeah, something kind of worked. And it's jammed up. Oh, yep. Okay. Well, good news and bad news, tactical aficionados. The black marker is almost certainly down. That full auto we're getting with this one is indicative of that O-ring problem I told you about before. And if past experience has taught me anything, that particular O-ring is not all that easy to replace. I don't know if it can be replaced. I think you just have to get a completely different valve for this at this point. But the orange one seemed to function, and it seemed to actually be functioning at an even higher level than it was before, meaning that there must have been a valve block in there that fell out and I didn't get a chance to see it. So that means that the orange marker is now the candidate for our new upgrades, which are going to be engaging in an attempt to save, to redeem the HDR-50 from its sad and pathetic binky bear approval. I'm talking about the ZRAM upgrades for those valves to give it a little bit of extra room to build up some more power. We got it up to about 350 something. Maybe we can get it up to 400. Hey, why not? I mean, those are still relatively light aluminum balls. But before we get going, let me show you the issue I found with the magazine and what actually caused all these damn problems in our last review. Well, unfortunately, the black marker seeming to have gone to that great air launcher farm in the sky. Looks like we're going to be moving forward with the orange one. I guess I could always swap out the working internals of the orange for the, more intimidating facade of the black. I don't know how much I'd actually trust this thing with my life anyway, but remember, we are going to be doing those ZRAM modifications, but before we do any of that, we got to fix the problem, which caused the problem, and that is this guy right here. Now, for reference, this chonky guy is from the TR68, which I guess you could call the HDR-68. They're interchangeable terms, and this is from the HDR-50, and aside from the fact that they are obviously a little smaller, you notice something interesting here. You hear that? Those are those 68 caliber aluminum balls freely shaking around within the cylinder. A lot of people don't like that. They think that it is indicative of cheap and poor quality build. I disagree. In fact, I think that's why I've not had as many malfunctions with this as I have the 50s. Although I have had malfunctions as I jacked them up and did a bunch of stuff I wasn't supposed to do. But check this out. So here are our 50 caliber aluminum balls. And you're going to notice a bit of a problem right off the bat. So I can get those in there. Got all 6 of them, right? Okay. Quite a bit tighter. And this one isn't even too bad. They're in there a little bit snugger. But sometimes if these don't have enough power, especially if there's something even bigger like the steel, they're going to get lodged in there and they're going to cause the whole system to back up, which is, I think, causing those O-rings to become dislodged from their housing, which is causing this thing to fire in full auto, which is causing the ATF to go to Yusuf's house and do bad things to his dogs. So before that happens, I'm going to take this bag I have over here. These have already been corrected. That's the term I'm going to use. Going to be corrected. We have our slightly larger, at least by 1/1000th of an inch or two, steel 50 caliber slingshot. Slingshot projectile. And what I'm going to do with these to make sure they're loosened up, because you want them to be loose, I'm going to explain why, is to just take a plier and clamp them down into there and kind of help loosen up that whole system, because it is the reason that I believe we had so many malfunctions during the main test. If you look at the TR68, again, very loose. If you ever look inside the Pastel X68, although it's a different system, it's a semi-auto and this is a revolving style, there are 2 little nubs that kind of hold that 68 caliber projectile into place. It has some play. It's not jammed into that system. CO2 doesn't seem to function well that way. I've had weird things happen with black powder where I've crammed it down maybe more than I thought I should, or I've put a projectile in there that was super tight, and I've actually gotten more performance out of it, like, making it kind of delay that release of pressure actually causes it to build up more. So I've had 200 grain projectiles shoot significantly faster than 140 grain projectiles out of the same pew-pew, even using the same charge, which goes against what you would think. You'd think that lighter is always going to move faster, but it didn't work that way with black powder. That extra compression was good. That extra compression is not helping our CO2 launchers, not one little bit. Now that those are in there, I'm going to knock them back out and see how tight they are. Imagine that trying to push these things out wasn't going to happen. This blocked up the whole system. I'm going to edit some of this. All right, so now that we got them out once, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to put them right back again, and I'm going to repeat the same process at least one more time to really jam these things home. Boom, all 6 of them. Because remember, the steel is a little bit larger than the aluminum. Even then, I've noticed that some aluminum seems just slightly smaller in diameter than others. For this, I think going with the looser is always going to be better. All right, knock them out one more time. All right, now we have our smaller aluminum, and look at that, they drop right in. In fact, you're going to want to make sure to press them, just tamp them down a little bit, because you don't want them kind of falling out, but because it's slightly wider at the back, this is now a little bit on the same kind of tightness level as these guys here. Still not quite. These are a little looser. It's built differently. It has a bit of a lip on it. But now, when we put these through here, especially now that we've removed that valve and made it even more powerful, there's no way that these things are going to obstruct that barrel and, you know, back up into the CO2 system, into the valve, screw with that O-ring, do any of that stuff. So this bad boy right here is going to get a complete body swap with the chassis of this one right here, because I figured I might as well go with the black, and then we're going to throw those Z-rams in there with our new corrected magazines and see if we can get some power out of this. I'm actually looking a little more optimistic. I mean, I think it definitely deserved the Binky Bear during that main review. Can it redeem itself? I don't know if it's going to end up with the Tactical Possum, but maybe we can at least wipe the Binky Bear from its record. Let's find out if we can redeem the Umarex HDR-50 with those Z-RAM modifications and not make Air Launcher Jesus cry. Ugh. Right here on Band State Tactical, where it's not illegal if you don't get caught.